I am super excited to announce Boston Pickleball Club as our title sponsor of the Not Another Pickleball podcast. Upcoming, they have the New England Tournament Series, the second leg, and I'm also very excited to announce that my discount code DDOG will get you $10 off at checkout when signing up for the tournament. Be sure to give it a try, share it with your friends, and I'm really excited. I'm planning on being at the tournament. Let's go and have a fun time. That has been with us pretty much from the start. I got a shout out Flick Weight. I actually just got a package in for their brand new weighted bands. Pretty much similar to the cap coins, all that, the butt cap coins, and you just toss it on. It's kind of a similar feeling to if you have the weighted butt cap. Welcome to the Not Another Pickleball podcast. My name's Dawson. I'm joined by my co-hosts Cody and Vinny. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. All right, what's up, Cody?
What up, man? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Just another week and another pod for us here.
Another week, another pod, and some more paddles to talk about.
All right, let's dive right into it. We just got these bad boys. Run out. I got the
F
wide
and B
body because I'm a wide
and
body guy.
elongated.
Oh, I like yours has the E on it. Oh, I got
Yours has
the
the
it's standard. My bad, standard. The S. Same thing.
Yep.
But yeah. So let's dive into it. I think you've hit yours more than I've hit mine though. So I'm gonna let you go first here.
Yeah, so I played with mine like 3 hours on Saturday and didn't know what to expect. I got like a quick 10-minute warm up. I was like, okay, cool. Let's just see how it goes. And drives and mid volleys, love it. Dinking, I was fighting it a little bit because I've been playing with the boomstick, the bread and butter loco, stuff that has a little bit more paddle influence at the net, where this definitely I needed more player influence. So a lot of my shots were hitting the top of the net because I didn't have that extra like oomph behind the ball. But once I was able to dial that in, I liked it. And I was getting lots and lots of top spin, which is one of my just I hit with a lot of top spin in general. So really liked it. I really like the handle, especially for somebody that's trying to get used to going to twoies. The extra handle length, in my opinion, I'm easily able to get both hands on it, and I don't have to drop a pinky or drop two fingers off the edge to get my left hand to feel comfortable. So I really like it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the handle. This is probably in the, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes I've hit with this thing since it just arrived today. Um, Handle's definitely up there for me. This is like a top five handle, probably all time for me to date. And I've only hit with it for 20 to 30 minutes. So again, super first impressions for both of us. Give us another week or two to at least hit them a little more. My first thing I noticed, so they listed as 12.7 millimeters thick. I thought it was like more of like a 14. It didn't really feel that thin to me. I hit the 12. I don't own them, but I've hit them before, the 12.7 paddle techs, and those felt way thinner to me than this, which I actually think is a good thing because I don't know. It's a millimeter that's very rare these days. So I liked it though. Poppy for sure. Like you, I think you were trying to say there a little, and you got to put a little more work in it. I would say if you're anyone with like an elbow issue or anything, stay far away from these just because I feel like they give more feedback per
Oh yeah,
se than like a foam paddle would right now. Like a boomstick or like something like that where there's just more paddle face
yeah,
per se. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with these edge guards, but they like it's by design, it looks like, but they look like pre-scratched almost, which I think is really cool. And I think it's part of like a protection layer, but these are some of the best edge guards I have felt to date personally as someone that has torn up his fair share of paddles. Um, and then I got like a really heavy standard shape. Mine's like 8.3 out of the box. So, and they said the range was like 7.7 to like 8.1, I think what they said was for the standard.
Yeah,
Like,
for mine, they're saying 7.8 to 8.2, but I haven't weighed it, but it felt good. Like, and I normally weight up my paddles, and I would say this would need weight for me.
yeah, I've already added weight. I hit for like 10 minutes and I was like, yep, it needs weight. And I tossed it kind of like beginning of the end of the bottom corners going down. I liked it. I agree. I think this is something, there's a little too much twisting in the hand there if you don't add weight. And I think part of that is just the thin millimeter.
Yeah.
So I think, bottom corners for the most part, maybe some action up top or in the middle, depending on, personal preference. Um, but yeah, I did want to dive into quick. I did do a brief comparison of it to, we'll put that over there, the Gen 3 Alpha Pro Power Pegasus and the Gen 4 Vatic V-Soul Power. I thought it hit more like the Gen 3 personally, just because I thought it had a similar hollow feedback. The Gen 4, especially the V-Soul Power compared to the V-Soul Pro, it's just more muted, like of a feedback feel, which is probably part of the reason why I like it so much. Because I just don't feel it when I hit the ball in my arm at all, which is kind of nice. So, but yeah, I didn't think it was all that far off power wise. A little early to categorize for me, but
Yeah.
I would probably lean lowish power, high all court, you know,
I would
somewhere around
definitely, I'd probably definitely classify it like mid all court. Um,
there.
but again, it was 3 hours of gameplay,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
then
I did the speed test I normally do of like the punch volleys into the
mhm,
drives and stuff. I just I don't do the radar gun thing because I find that super subjective. Um, you know, because I've seen people get almost 60 mph and then 50 mph with the same paddle, and it's like, what's going on
yeah,
there? So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I think that's probably a better spot. I think it's probably more all court than power would be my
yeah.
guess. And we'll dive back into that. Anyways, moving it along, I know the friends over at Flickweight sent you some of these bad boys.
They did. They showed up, and I've been back in my work week, so I haven't had a chance to go try them out. But you can definitely tell the weight difference in each of the bands. And for my setup and how I usually like my stuff, I'm probably going to be leaning towards the sixes instead of the nines or the threes. But I'll try them all out and see which one feels the better for the paddle setup.
And I am the complete opposite of you once again. I lean the three completely. Like I'm absolutely in love with the three. It does not leave my practice Vatic right now since I have two of them and I don't have it over here. I only have the fun looking one. That's why there's no band right here. And pretty much it will only go to that one when I have a tournament. So, but yeah, so I absolutely love it. I did really like the six as well. I did put a lot more time on these, so I'll touch onto it briefly here, and we'll check in back with you next week for now on that. But I liked the six a lot. The nine was too heavy. I would go to flick and it was like, whoa, my wrist. I'm starting to feel this a little. Coming off a bit of a wrist kind of sprain a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I don't really want to risk this. So I did maybe 15, 20 minutes with the nine, and I did like half a session of a 2 hour session with the six and the other half with the three. I think twice last week, so I got good time on both of them.
Yeah.
And then the three has been on my paddle of choice, so it's I hit with it at least once every session. So, um, yeah, I love the practicality of them too. Listen, the coins and all that stuff and the butt caps, they're great. They're gonna do a lot more to the paddle,
Oh
but
yeah, definitely.
yeah, like this isn't meant. to be clear, this isn't meant to be like a huge change unless you use the nine. It's meant to be a small change where you're getting some kind of lower handle weight. And I confirm with the flick weight guys on this. You're getting some lower handle weight and you're not like heavily altering sweet spot. Whereas at least I find with the caps a lot, usually sweet spot comes right down. So like if you have an elongated paddle with a tight high sweet spot, it can bring it down or vice versa. And as someone that doesn't main many elongateds, I don't usually love that. So these are kind of perfect for me.
Yeah,
um,
and I'm very curious because normally I've just been throwing 12 o'clock weight and 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock weight.
ooh.
And then it kind of depends on the paddle. But then, I pulled a flick weight off my prior main, and this was 9.
I
Down
do
at the,
I like the nine a lot for the copper. That's my
yeah,
favorite one. Although I had a three once of the copper, and at first I was like, this isn't doing anything, and then after I was like, oh hey, don't sleep on the lightweight one either.
yeah,
I like the seven for the tungsten, and that's kind of what they've more shifted towards, to my knowledge, is the tungsten ones, which makes a lot of sense. They're just safer and all that. But I don't know. The nine is just it's a nice spot to be in where you're getting the weight, but you're also not getting like not enough of the weight. Because
yeah.
putting in like I've tried it and it makes for a wild ride. If you put lead in the handle and then you put the coin on,
Oh,
it's like,
geez.
well, here's the thing. It's like holding a hammer like this. Like you can swing so fast, but it just feels so unforgiving and not fun to hit the ball like on this half of the paddle. Like it is a really fun experience. I my Flare Prime X, which is somewhere behind me right now by Neonic, I did that with it just like for craps and giggles, and it actually was really fun. So
Hmm.
um but yeah, so I was about to say, I know you've got some other paddles over there if you want to dive into some here.
Yeah, we'll switch over to a company that I have a hard time being serious with, but they've been reaching out to me a lot. I think they have some fun stuff coming up, but it's I don't know if they can see that. The
Oh, maybe.
Slamopus. Yeah. So I'm not sure of the marketing reason behind the name Slamopus, but they have been talking to me daily, weekly, and they're excited about their stuff coming up. They have their new paddle coming out that's gonna be all foam. But I got to play with this one for a little bit. And
Wait, hold that bad boy back up. That has got to be one of the coolest looking paddles I've ever seen right there. That thing is
yeah,
awesome.
bunch of like star constellations in it.
Yeah.
And it's,
They just put their logo smack right in the middle as big as they could, too.
yeah, I mean, come on, they're loud and proud.
Oh,
But
yeah.
man, I mean, for my game style, it didn't fit. It was pretty soft. Took a lot more player input to get the ball to do what it wanted to do. So I think it'd be very beginnerish paddle, and then maybe like mid intermediate, getting ready to start growing into the sport and pushing more aggressive play. But we'll see what happens with their new Gen 4. I'm excited. I have that on the way, and we can hit on that here probably mid December-ish. I'm hoping get some play time with it.
Right before the holidays. Good time to
Oh yeah.
talk
Oh
about a
yeah.
paddle.
All the time. Paddle. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, get rid of all the paddles. They're going to be selling out like crazy come that time.
Well, get ready. This I was about to say, this is your first holiday season in paddle reviewing, right?
It is,
It
yes.
is a long couple of weeks coming up, so get ready. Like, listen, I think last week or last year, um, uh, I think I did like 10 reviews in like 8 weeks. I was like,
Oh
or
no.
whatever, like 7 weeks, something like that. I might have even been more. I have to go back and check. And at the end of it, I was like, bruh, like my arm hurts. Like, it
Well,
was
and right
fun
now,
though. Look, it's a fun time, and my favorite one of my favorite parts of it is doing like the Black Friday lists, stuff like that, like trying to get
yeah.
everybody the best deals we can. And that's like kind of one of the things I really enjoy being a reviewer is trying to get other people a good deal. Affiliates and all that aside, that helps, don't get me wrong, but it is nice also just, having been someone that has been the customer and still at times can be, just helping people find that better deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would agree. That's one of the like huge benefits is not really like cool being an affiliate, but being able to like I take two backpacks to the courts with me like almost every time because I'm like, hey, grab my backpack, grab a paddle, try it, let me know if you like something, and I can hook you up and you get a little bit of a discount on a paddle. And it gets more advertisement, it gets people's other brands' name out there, especially when you live in an area where you have a headquarters for a specific brand. So, and that brand's use 99% of the at all of the open play. So it's good just getting people to experience other paddles. So,
yeah. I was about to say I don't have the headquarters here, but I'll tell you what, there's the amount of a brand that rhymes, or I'm sorry, that begins with a J that I see right now on the courts
oh,
is pretty much everywhere. So it doesn't surprise me either. I also just think it's cool to have a wide paddle diversity. Like, you know, if you look at tennis, not everyone's using the same exact racket.
yeah.
If you look at padel, you look at ping pong, stuff like that. Yes, there are similarities, and yes, sponsorship is a thing. Like, I'm not going to deny that, but I think that pickleball outside of sponsored pros is kind of infamously bad about that right now.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping to see that balance out more, which is part of the next piece that I'm going to touch on quick. I don't have these yet, but I have been messaging back and forth with Nexus Pickleball, and they are claiming a full Gen 3 line, $90 after code. $90,
Oh,
elongated, and I think there was a hybrid in there too. I didn't see any standards or wide bodies. And Nexus, if you see this, please by all means correct me in the comments. Happy to update the information accordingly. But yeah, and I believe that's going to be either coming out for December or Q1 2026. I'm hoping to get those in our hands though. I think that'll be a lot of fun. It's looking to me kind of like a somewhat of a Pro 4 kind of rival, like similar to kind of like an RPM deal where it's similar but not the same, maybe.
okay.
So I think that's super exciting. And I think I don't know many Gen 3s that are like a power oriented build. Like this is what it's looking off of, what I've seen off of, X-rays. And again,
Hmm.
take my word for caution here. I haven't hit the paddle yet. I plan on hitting the paddle when it arrives, and I'll happily update you guys accordingly. But they look pretty legit from what I've seen. And it's a smaller company, so I always think that that can lead to kind of a bigger push down the road for more innovation. So I think that's a really good thing. And then, you know, like I mentioned on the last pod, the Vatics, man, you really can't go wrong with the Vatics right now. I actually just helped a friend into a couple of the Vatic shapes for a couple people over the weekend, and
I
yeah,
have I have not hit the Vatic,
I
so
know. I'm tempted to just send you one of mine for like a weekend or something. Even though you're gonna hate the shape, but like you're gonna be like, why am I
stance
swinging and missing? Like,
every time I try to grab a
um,
standard, I'm like, oh man, all right.
yeah. I'll tell you though, out of the standard shapes, I'll try to hold them up here for the context. It's small, but you will notice it. It's gonna be tough to do with the camera. It might not focus on it fully. But there we go. Hang on. This is also one of the hardest parts of doing the side by side is lining the butt caps up. People don't talk about that enough. You see that little sliver right there?
Yeah,
It matters, believe it or not.
it
This is the
does.
difference between shanking a bunch of balls and not shanking a bunch of balls, just so you know. I do actually like I have adjusted to this one too, and I really like this paddle, to be clear, along with the Vatic. I actually those were the two that when I was trying to do a main, I think it was right around the time the Vatics were launching, that I was kind of torn between for a while. Yeah. I was about to say, I feel your pain there. I've shanked a lot of balls on the top when I was getting used to that shape still. Um, but anyways, I just got something that I know you've had for a long time, so I'm going to give you the floor here. Let's dive
Oh no.
into our friends at Trigger Pro.
Yeah.
So I haven't hit this at all, to be clear. Mine just came in, I believe last week at the beginning of the week. You know how the review life goes. It's a busy one, but I know you've done a lot of time on it, so take the floor.
Yeah. So guys over at Trigger Grip, they messaged me, I don't know, actually it was like spring break-ish. So back in like April. And we're like, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. We would like to send you one. I was like, hey, absolutely. Like send it over. Glad to give it a shot. And the one I had was one of their prototypes. So it was a little bit more stretchy, where this one's a little bit more tight. So it doesn't give a lot of give, but it's
Nice.
super nice. Here, I'll lock one down real quick.
All right, let's see it.
So they claim it that you can put it in like their standard position, which is just right off the side of the paddle. So if you can see that, it's just right off the side, and then you lock in. Oh man,
No, you're back. You're good.
and here we go. You just lock in on your index finger. And if you have like a super heavy forehand, this is easy just to slide around in whatever position that's more comfortable for you. And I like just run it in the standard position that they say, like, hey, while you're trying it, here's a spot, put it at like the whatever they call it, like the one bevel, maybe the two bevel. And that's where I leave it at. Like, and then you over grip over it, and it is super comfortable. I find it very beneficial for like backhand flicks. I can really like lock my index finger in and kind of pretty much like pull through that index finger on those flicks. And it helps out. Like if I don't have that now, like I find like my backhand flick is
Yeah.
a little bit more sloppy and not as locked in. And I found it as a person trying to go to a two-hand backhand is I can stack my pinky and it gives me like a positive point of contact for that backhand where I'm not sitting there trying to like find my backhand grip. That's just pinky's on top and it's nice and stable. So
I think you hit the head on the nail there. I'm just excited to try them now. To be honest, I'm more pumped up to try them. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting innovation. I totally agree with you on the flicks piece. I think that it just is a no-brainer that it's going to increase a flick, unless you hit it in like a continental grip, which I don't even know how you like flick like
yeah,
well in a continent. Like I feel like everyone's natural thing is to slide a little that way and then roll up
yeah,
per se. So it definitely makes sense that you're holding like you can hold that. You can even just twist with the wrist too, kind of to a degree with it.
yeah,
Just kind of thinking as like a coach and as a player right there. The two things interesting to me. I don't hate that idea of like the little space in between. It kind of is you can line the hands up like you were saying. So I think it's pretty cool.
the
I think they're doing other stuff too. Is I don't know what specifically. I think they're going to do other kind of innovations down the road. Is kind of what it seemed like.
Yeah, I communicate with them regularly and I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
But I also plan on they're based out of Hawaii. And so I actually plan on being down in Hawaii for spring break coming up. And I think I'm going to be linking up with them to get some games and see what's new, see what's coming up. The caveat that I've been hearing with this from people that I've let try it is they're like, yeah, but I can't I can't maneuver my paddle. Like my hand's like locked. I'm like, well, they're like, my forehand's always my forehand, my backhand's always my backhand. I'm like, you shouldn't be wanting to twist your paddle in your hand mid game. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm very superstitious. Like once I grab my paddle and I play a game, like I will like fixate on like which side of the paddle I've hit my forehand on.
Oh, I've done that
And
too.
I'm
Yep.
like, okay, cool. Like that's my forehand. Like I cannot like reverse it. And so people are like, yeah, but I like to spin my paddle. I'm like, okay, well, spin your paddle. Like do your little like twist thing if you're like in between sets and whatnot or in between the point. But I'm like, you shouldn't be turning your paddle like that mid game. Like you're just gonna get caught off guard and you're not gonna have a proper position. and this helps keep your hand like stable throughout the whole point. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it's a super good point. And I think, look, you know, I will admit I do think most people have a couple minor grip changes in pickleball. I don't think it's big enough that you need to like
Yeah,
twist the paddle around a bunch like
yeah,
that. I mean, maybe if it's like super humid or something, but at that point, you just need a grip change.
yeah.
Like, you just sweat right through it. So I think it's a really good point. Again, I have not hit a ball with it yet, so I'm the neutral party here. But I think they're great points you brought to the table.
And one last thing before we switch off, if people are using Hessicore or Ethos over grip or yeah, under grips, I guess the trigger grip does work in conjunction with it. I actually run that setup on my main paddle right now, and there's no issues.
Now let me ask you real quick. Do you think this sits better in the ethos slash hexacore, or do you think it just sits better on the regular?
I would say it probably sits better just like on a standard like grip where
Yeah.
it's smooth. But again, like I didn't have any issues. Like I put the Hessicore on, and then I slid that on to where my hand naturally sits for my grip placement, and then I lock it in with an overgrip, and that's where it's at. Like I don't notice it like twisting or sliding on the like indentations on the Hessicore or on the Ethos. So I don't see it being an issue with any of that.
Yeah. I was just curious, just because I know
Yeah.
those can enlarge it. Not a ton, but
Hmm.
a little there. All right. So I ran a poll based off of our Q&A from our last episode
Yep.
for this week. And the question was, I will flash it here on the screen. Clicky. Now, I'm gonna let you guess real quick. I had four categories. I had always, often, sometimes, and then the last category was basically never. It also said seldom. What do you think the percentages were for the four categories?
Yes, clicky being the majority, and then often and sometimes could be close, and then like seldom would be like very minimal, if not anything.
So, always was 33%, often was 33%, and sometimes was 33%. Not a single person voted for seldom or never, which I found really interesting.
I
Um,
don't. I don't.
So here's why I say that. Like because I ran it on my main account and on the pod account and for Instagram, and there are some relatively new players that follow some of them that I know personally, as well as, a variety of people that follow them. That was going to be the people that I would say, oh, it's not clicky at all. We just go to show up at open play and we play with 20 different people. I'm in your boat. I think it's pretty clicky. I
Oh
try
yeah.
my best not to be clicky. I'm a fairly open, wide variety of levels and walks of life person to hit with. I was about to say I've done sessions where I'm the only male amongst a bunch of females and vice versa. I've done sessions with kids, with
Hmm.
grandparents, with adults. We have a good amount of like senior pros slash like trying to break into the senior pro scene peeps here.
Hmm.
Like NPL is a big thing for us last year. There's like one or two other senior pro leagues that are forming right now as well. I feel bad I don't have the name of them because one of my buddies, I think, is ownership in one of the teams right now. But like that's a big thing here too. So there's a lot of people that do that. So I actually usually end up being one of the youngest ones on the court, to be honest. A lot of the times that I go, and like level's pretty good still. It's not really bad by any means. If anything, they're usually better. So, yeah.
Mm.
So I was about to say it's a lot of walks of life. I feel like for me, but like, look, I get it. I don't really want to pay to go play with three beginners if I only have a court for an hour. I get that
Yeah.
piece. But, at the same time, I do think, smaller gaps can be beneficial. And I don't think that icing people out of the crew is the coolest thing?
Yeah. So I would definitely agree. Like, I'm very open to go play with anybody, but there's also specific times, like my local like indoor gym has, that I'm like, okay, no, like this is where I like to get my quality games. I want to have good games, and I don't want to be sitting here like like just frustrated with people I'm playing against. And so right now, the thing that our gym is battling is we have like several like 3.5 and under open plays throughout the week. We only have one 4.0 and higher, which is 4.0 and higher is a very drastic range of people to begin with. And we only have one of those, and it's on a Saturday. It's for 3 hours. Given the other 3.5 and less have several other times available in the week. And what we're running into, and this is where I say it gets pretty clicky, is you get all of the people that are in that 4.0 or play at a 4.0 level that are like, hey, like you guys don't belong here. Like, why are you here? And so we had a staff member, bless her heart, trying to do her best, is like had signs up everywhere like, hey, this is 4.0 plus open play. If you've already played at an open play this week, like, hey, you can't play here. So she was contacting people like face to face, and she's like, hey, what do you like self-proclaim yourself to be? And I would say there was several people, I don't have like a number, but a handful of people that are like, oh, I'm a 3.5, I'm a 3.0. But I played with other level people. She's like, well, this is 4.0 plus, like, and plus I've already seen you play at these other open play levels this week. Like you shouldn't be here. And they're like, well, pretty much like, too bad, so sad. Like, get out of my way. I'm gonna go play because I want to get better. She's like, that's not what open play is meant for. This is if you want to get better, go drill, go take lessons, play, recreationally with higher level people. But we set this time away for these levels of people so they can get their gameplay. And my indoor courts only have 8 courts, and you have 36 people or whatever that is. 30,
You were
mid 30
close. It's
people.
something like
Yeah. In the
that.
mid 30s on the court. And then you have probably 40 people lined up on a table for like next game up. And so it's not uncommon to get done playing a game because it's 4 on 4 off rotation. And then you're sitting for 15 minutes, 20 minutes to wait for your next game up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like now I'm not even warm anymore. I'm cold. I've been sitting here waiting to go play. And so that's where I say it gets clicky is when you have those, you know, levels or self-proclaimed levels and you get into that designated open play time, people get a little protective about their time and their levels and who they want to play with and their, time frame that they're allowed to play with. So,
Yeah, you hit it right the head on the nail there. Like I couldn't agree more to that. I will say though, in some of these private groups, there are people that'll only hit with certain people. Like you would be surprised. I've
mhm,
noticed it a little. Like I'll send texts and I'm like, yeah, like depending on the time, I'm like, I know this person's available usually this time, and they're like, no, like we gotta have, like set like this, and I'm
mhm,
like my mind, I'm like, whoa, like,
yeah,
like my guy. It's not, it's 0.25 of a duper. Like it's not like it's a whole 1.0 duper number or
yeah,
whatever. Like it's an almost identical level at that point. So I,
yeah,
I just, but yeah, I mean, I'd hate to say that I've heard that story you just mentioned a lot.
yeah,
So, I don't know what the exact remedy per se for that is because I know these facilities, as much as they'd love to have 30 something courts, it's usually just not feasible to have all of that land and indoors
yeah,
and infrastructure. It costs a lot of money to build one court, let alone to put in the
yeah,
fencing and the dividers and all that.
mhm,
If you want to do it well, you can do it on the cheap, but leads to a lot of complaints, to some
Yeah.
injuries, potential lawsuits. You gotta make them sign a 20-page waiver if you do it like that. You know,
I don't even think there is a fix. I ultimately think it's inevitable. You're gonna have people like, oh, you play against somebody. I'll use me for example. Like, hey, like sorry, Dawson, like you're not a 4.0, like you shouldn't be here. And people are gonna be like, yep, hey, too bad, so sad. Like this is I think I'm a 4.0 and I'm gonna play.
yeah. I
So
listen. I've as someone that coaches in the summers right now and plays normally during the year, I've heard and seen it both at work and as a player. So I'm right there with you there. I did get a really interesting comment. I'm going to keep it anonymous, although I know who this is and they are a fairly legit player. I had a really interesting comment. I do want to kind of read on it, which they didn't have to comment this, they chose to, which I actually really appreciate. So by all means, if you do see some of our polls in the future, please do comment, especially if it's good stuff. Not if it's some weird stuff, though. Some of you guys are weird. Like, keep that stuff out of here, in all seriousness. But so they said definitely more so as you move up the ladder, in my experience, higher level players that are invested in improving want quality sessions. Unless it's with friends, I don't want to take a rec session where I'm just going to get iced out the whole time. The same way I seldom get invite from the 5-5 plus crew because realistically I can only compete with them on my very best days. If I'm having an off day, it's terrible practice for them. So what I liked about this is they acknowledged a level above them. I would say this person's about a 5-0 player at this point, for context. And they acknowledged that on their best day, sure, they might be able to hang, stuff like that. But, you know, if it's a one court session, it's a long session of hanging. Like,
yeah.
listen, I look, if that's your best and that's their regular day, it's going to be a long day. Like it's not
Hmm.
like a tournament where you just go, you play your game to 11 or game to 15 and you move on to the next team. You kind of play the same team, you do different combinations, you swap the partners around.
Hmm.
I've had sessions where I've stayed with my partner the whole time. I kind of like a blend of both because I like some playing with personally and then some against. I don't love just doing the 1 to 2 and switching, but again, it just depends on the kind of scenario I'm in and if I'm practicing like for a tournament or if I'm just there to try out 20 different paddles. So,
Yeah.
which I sometimes I do both. So, more than often I do both. But yeah, so I think this hit it really well. The one thing I'll say on the iced out piece, and I don't mean this in a bad way per se, but I feel like if that's happening, it's more of a newer session that those people really feel they want to win. Like, I feel like in practice, listen, it's going to happen to a degree in certain points. Like, if someone has a super hot hand and they're smoking everything by you, yeah, I'm not going to go blatantly return like my serve return to this person.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean I'm never going to hit to them.
Yeah.
Like now I will say this, in certain scenarios there could be merit to hitting a certain direction or stuff like that during the point, but that just to me that, you know, I never understood that. Like why you would invite a higher level player and then try to ice him out a bunch and be like, "Oh, you beat the higher level player." I'm like, "Did you?" Like
You
this is
play
listen,
2v1.
tournament, I got no issue with it. Tournament, you're there to win. You're here to compete. Go for it. You want to, I was about to say, I played a lot of mixed predominantly back in my day, which I feel like that's where that happens more than not. If I'm being honest here, and it's not a slight to mixed, if anything, I still think that's probably my favorite of the formats to play personally. And, you know, I had the same chat with my mixed partner, similar to this right now. I was like, look, if they're going to hit a bunch of balls to you, or that sometimes it was me they're hitting a bunch of balls to. And I'm like, okay, saddle up, be ready to make a lot of balls. And when you get your opportunity, pounce on it,
Yeah.
and that's the same thing I would tell a partner that's being, iced out, probably in a more relaxed manner. But, I find that interesting that like people will go to an open play and do that.
Yeah.
So I just don't think there's much merit to it.
Yeah. It's all subjective of just like how that day is going. And like you said, if you're just getting smoked by that better player on everything you put their way, it's like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna before I hit the ball
Yeah,
to you, I'm gonna wait for something that I'm comfortable like making the attack to put you on the defense, but I'm not just gonna leave up a dead ball for you just to throw down
exactly.
my throw shoot down my throat. Like, no thanks.
Yeah,
So
and then in their mind they're like, "Oh, well, why am I suddenly not seeing the ball?" I was like, I'd be like, "Dude, because you smoked three winners past me the past 3 points."
yeah, exactly.
Like no duh. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of that's that statement as is. I also think that's probably more of a lower level thing than a higher level thing. Most kind of 4-5, I'll call it, and up sessions. It's not usually a huge issue. Maybe if we're practicing for a tournament and there's two people trying to be like the next Ben Johns in play style, maybe. But that's very rare and very non-practical for most 4-5s plus
Yeah.
players. So, I also feel like a lot of people play straight up these days in practice. So it's not as easy to ice out when they're on different sides of the court every point, you know? I
Yeah, I
feel
would
like
agree.
it's way easier if they're just stacked to a certain side because you know
Yep.
the directional you want to hit automatically almost. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting comment. I figured we could go into on it. Anyways, we got one more category to do. Main of the week, my friend.
Oh man, did not prep for this
It's
one.
okay. It's okay. I have a feeling you have a very interesting main. I will start while you do some searching over there real quick. So, I actually went on a little bit of a main journey. I got a little tournament coming up. I'm going to be in actually one of our sponsors events, the Boston Pickle Club event later this month. And I went on a little bit of a journey. I was flirting with this thing again. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna be real with you. I like the other wide body shapes a little more, but the feeling of this thing, like you get that Gen 3 feeling, but it's soft. It's not the like ball's gonna fly 3 feet long Gen 3 feeling, which I'm sure
Hmm.
you've experienced.
Yeah.
And I also think this is just a really clean look as well with the kind
Oh
of
yeah.
teal and green accents to it. But, I don't know. In the end of the day, I can't leave my baby here. So, you know, I can't do it. I've tried. I tried the VSOL Pro version of this. I have since the last time we did this. I liked it. It wasn't this though, to be honest. I even put my same weight setup with the weight right here. You guys can't see it because of the electrical. But I put my same weight setup there. I put the weighted band on, everything. I spent probably a good 2 hours with that thing. And after it, I played maybe 5 points with the VSOL power, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with my power. You know, for me, I think it's just a combo of the feeling of it. It's a pillowy feeling, which I like, while still being in what I would call the lower tier of the power category. Um, and I'm not calling all VSOL powers that, to be clear. I'm just using the wide body just because, listen, the elongated slaps. Like, the elongated slaps. Like, that thing hits hard. I have the VSOL Pro elongated too, and I've hit that as well, side by side, the long handle ones, and they definitely hit harder than the wide body. But I do think for wide bodies, that is a power wide body for sure. Um, you know, I it's that's kind of where I usually like to be with my mains. That's why this might be flirting with me for a bit because this is I usually like top of all court for a main,
Yeah.
like bottom of power, because the second I go to top of power, balls fly long, even though I have a good amount of topspin.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with those bad boys. I will say there is one hybrid that I'm very intrigued by that has not come out yet, but I've been seeing some images floating of it, and it's like I don't know how to categorize it. It's like a standard shape that's like a little longer than a standard shape. I think it's like a 16.8 or not 8 point, like it's like less than the point one, something like 0.08 by like a 7.9 like 2 or something. So it's like basically a standard shape again,
Hmm.
but they're giving you like that extra like buff out here. It looked really interesting. So I'm gonna see if I can get my
All
hands
right.
on those at some point down the road. If they go to market, it is a prototype right now, and I have a
Okay.
strict rule of I'm happy to hit the prototypes, but I won't review them
Yeah.
because let's just say it's happened in the past and not gone well. So I'll leave that on that. All right, you want to take it away here?
Yeah. So if I was gonna go to a tournament right now, I think the bread and butter loco, all standard, over grip, elongated would be the paddle of choice. The reason for that is it has a very similar feel to the boomstick, which has been like my go-to main for since I got the boomstick, really. However, that has the loco has slightly less power, which I feel like then puts me a little bit more in control of that power. I can still rip topspin drives, I can still rip my serve, and it still feels really comfortable at the net, but it just that slight little drop in power from the boomstick just feels like I can be more in control. I don't worry about so many hard drives sailing deep out of the back of the end of the court. It seems like that was just slightly less power. They're landing right there in that back, fourth or back quarter of the court and just keeps the pressure on the opponent. So I think that would be my main of the week right now. However, I did get a new boomstick
Ooh.
that, I liked it so much and they were only making a few. I had to grab one and it's their new red, white, and blue Jack Sock edition. So, and it is awesome.
Did
So,
it come with
but
that red grip too?
no, I threw the red grip on there.
I like it. That
It was
was a
like a
good touch.
white grip. So, but I had to make it a little bit more red, white, and bluey. So, but if I were to go to a tournament, I'd probably bring up the logo for the next one.
I mean, you could just bring that just to show it to people. Like you could
It
be like,
it
"Hey,
it
hey."
it is in my bag. And so earlier I commented on being in an area where as one brand is more predominant. I'm in Selkirk country, and honestly, the boomstick is just everywhere now. It doesn't matter what level player you are, it just that paddle is everywhere. You go to open play, and 95% of the paddles are going to be the boomstick. And it feels kind of cool. I still play with the boomstick, but now it's not the same boomstick as everybody else. Like it's significantly different. And I think only two other people at my gym have the new Jack Sock edition. And so it's nice being different, but still having the same paddle. But I hit with it a little bit this week, but I had other paddles to try out and I've been liking the Loco. And that's the one I'm gonna rock for the next tournament, unless something changes my mind. And there's a paddle on the way that could change my mind.
I'm curious to see which one and hear which one that will be down the road. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not near their headquarters, but it's a sea of Pro Fours out here. Like, okay, every time I go to a tournament, every time I go to a session, there's at least one Pro Four on the court. Which, again, and it's the same thing with the Selkirks. I don't want to take away from them; they're great paddles, but just as reviewers and people that appreciate paddle diversity, I think change is good. You
Yeah,
know, there's a lot of good paddles out there. Some by well-known companies, some by companies we might not even know exist yet. You
yeah,
know, so all right, I think that's more than enough for today's session here.
yeah.
We'll wrap that bad boy up.